Hello. So, I've had a chance to play around with the abilities for Feral. I set everything up, kind of worked through theory crafting everything, and I'm going to do kind of two parts again. So, I've played enough. I was 58. I set the talents up and I am 70 now. So I've done some world quests, I've done some dungeons, done enough I feel like to kind of see how everything works, make some changes, play around with a few of the talents, at least one of the talents. So wanted to kind of do a bit of an overview on how everything works. So if you watch the second part where I kind of theory craft setting up the talents, you'll notice that I've changed some things around. So I no longer use Thrash or Rip. So Thrash is an AoE ability, Rip is the damage over time ability, because I have talents that let Swipe apply the bleed from Thrash, and Primal Wrath applies Rip. So there's really no reason to to use those. I quickly came to the conclusion. So yeah, right there, Thrashing Claws. So Shred will do more additional damage, and Thread and Swipe apply the bleed damage over time from Thrash if known. So there we go. So Swipe does more initial damage, and it costs 5 energy less than Thrash does. So it seemed more worthwhile to use it than trying to use both. I couldn't really see a point in using both. I do have a bit of an issue with energy. So my energy was fairly low. It's only just recently gotten to a decent percentage. So when I realized that, I went ahead and took Thrash off, and then when I realized that Primal Wrath was applying Rip, which I wasn't actually using at that time, went ahead and took it off. So then I had Primal Wrath kind of over here where I have Prowl now. And Prowl was on another bar, so I just moved it over here. Because this slot, normally, I set this up how I had my Guardian Druid set up. And this spot was, every tank I've played in the War Within has had an ability that's had 2 charges. So for Druid, it's Frenzied Regeneration. For Demon Hunter, it's Demon Spikes. And for Monk, it's Purifying Brew. It's the main one that clears your stagger. And they all just had 2 charges by default, so I always just put those here. So since I didn't have that on Feral, I just went ahead and put Prowl, which worked because it was on another bar. So I had Ferocious Bite, Rip, and then Prowl, which was kind of annoying to switch back and forth since you don't have that extra bar or that extra button that you do for Rogue. So this setup worked a lot better. That being said, I think there's a few talents you should probably take. The first one that I noticed was made a difference was Rip and Tear. So this will apply. This will cause Rip to apply its damage quicker, which is helpful. So I understand what they were trying to do with Feral, but the all the bleeds and the damage over time, the waiting can be kind of an issue, especially if you have pulled more than one mob. And that was kind of the idea, was to try to do something that was a bit more AoE focused. So I feel like I've done that, but there are some limitations, and the bleed definitely does kind of you definitely won't do like burst damage. So this does help. The other thing is, and I didn't see this until later, lingering healing. So it affects rejuvenation, which I don't have, but it also affects regrowth, which I do. It increases its duration by 3, which is kind of needed. Yeah, so Predatory Swiftness. Your finishing moves have a 20% chance per combo point to make your next regrowth or Entangling Roots instant free and castable in all forms. So that is one of my primary sources of self-healing. You do take a lot of damage as Feral. My gear has been all over the place as I have leveled up and gotten better gear. I think I'm finally starting to get a little bit more kind of leveled out with my gear. I hadn't done anything on this character in quite a while. The damage kind of leveled out. I was able to do more damage. My health was still going down though. So regrowth, and then I use renewal. I would say you almost have to take renewal, which is a, if I remember correctly, yeah, Druid ability. So, yeah, I don't know, 1.5 minute cooldown, perfectly balanced. So, regrowth is enough to heal you back up. It's just a matter of getting the proc. If you try to use it out of without that's what happens. You end up getting taken out of whatever form you're in. It does the same thing for Guardian. So, but with I use Primal Wrath quite a bit, so you will almost always get the proc for regrowth. So you can almost keep this up continuously, which is kind of nice. It's just a matter of, it heals you. It has an initial heal and then it heals you over time. So it's just a matter of getting it when you actually need healing. So you will end up kind of wasting healing from this. So I just kind of reapply it whenever it procs. And that seems to mostly work fine. And then just occasionally use renewal. If I'm not topped off or close to it after using the proc from regrowth, then I'll use renewal. So there's that. There was one talent that I did play around with, so I did go kind of back and forth. I did look at Brutal Slash. Didn't think I needed this, but it does do more damage. Causes it replaces swipe, so it costs 10 energy less and does way more damage than swipe does. But the downside is it has a cooldown and 3 charges, and that I found was very limiting, especially in dungeons. Out in the world, questing, things like that, it was perfectly fine. You're kind of moving more at your own pace. But in dungeons, it was very limiting. So I went back and forth with it a few times in a couple different dungeons, and then just decided swipe is perfectly fine. So you need an ability that you can spam to generate combo points. I am also getting, let me see here, because there was an ability. Yeah, so instead of Brutal Slash, I had Wild Slash. Swipe and thrash damage increased 40%. I think that's perfectly fine. looking to see, there was one. Your finishing moves grant 2 energy per combo point and deal 5%. Yeah. There was an ability that caused you to generate an additional combo point. Yeah, while in cat form, you critically strike with an attack that generates a combo point. You gain an additional combo point. Damage over time cannot trigger this effect. That might have been it. Yeah, that might have. That might have been it. If you generate a combo point in excess of your stored, your next ferocious bite or primal wrath is, yeah. So, still need to work in ferocious bite more, but I think that was it. I typically get 4 combo points. You have 5, so I typically get 4, and then we'll use primal wrath. So that's perfectly fine, because this is the main finishing move I've been using, so I'm reapplying rip. So I'm not too worried about getting the full 5. In AoE circumstances, I will, like when doing dungeons, Shred and Rake are good as single target abilities, but they don't really do anything for AoE. And unlike Rogue, you don't have anything that causes your abilities to like cleave. I think Rake has been, for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. I haven't done much with the stealth part of it. Yeah. Let's see here. Rake damage increase 30%, and Rake causes an infected wound, reducing. Yeah. As far as I know, nothing specifically affected. Said it affected. Enemies within a certain range, but yet I'm pretty sure when I used it, it was stunning 2, like 2 that were nearby. Break the target. Yeah. Yeah, so not sure. Not sure if it's supposed to be doing that or if I've just missed something somewhere. I don't think it was a passive or anything. Nope. Yeah, instinct. No. Yeah. So not sure there. But generally speaking, they're not really intended to do anything with AoE. So what I was doing in dungeons is just basically spamming swipe and then using Primal Wrath, and that seemed to work according to Recount. Swipe was doing damage, of what was doing top damage. It was swipe, Primal Wrath, the dot from Thrash, and Rip. So I was pretty happy with that. That was the main intent. So swipe applies the bleed from Thrash, and Primal Wrath applies the dot from Rip. So I was good with that. And then from there, so I basically just kind of copy what my rotation is for Guardian. When I'm trying to do like single target damage or focus a target. So I'll use swipe and then Moonfire. Moonfire really doesn't do a whole lot, I've been noticing, but it does generate a combo point and it is a dot, so you might as well just use it at least in the beginning. Rake is interesting because it applies a dot, so you don't necessarily want to keep reapplying it. And then Shred, which is going to be your main kind of damage ability, and then Primal Wrath, and then kind of rinse and repeat. I have started doing kind of a mini rotation where I will use Swipe, Moonfire, Rake, all that, and then just kind of cycle back through kind of what I do with Swipe and Primal Wrath for AoE. For single target, I'll run through Shred until I have enough combo points to use Primal Wrath, which will trigger the proc for Regrowth, and then I'll go back to Shred. So it's just kind of running through those three abilities. I started doing that a little bit more recently. And that's been making a little bit more sense. I kind of think of Rake kind of the way I do with Rising Sun Kick. The cooldown for Rising Sun Kick doesn't really work with the rotation for Monk, so I kind of have to skip it. Where Moonfire would be, I try to put the kind of at range ability, the spell ability. So I always have to use that on my Monk because it works with it's the fire spell that works with your Cake Smash. And then oftentimes Rising Sun Kick isn't off cooldown yet, so I end up skipping it and going to Blackout Kick, and then Spinning Crane Kick, Cake Smash, kind of rinse and repeat. So I'm used to kind of skipping an ability. So if Rake's applied, I really try to leave it and try not to reapply it if I can help it. I'll just stick with Shred because Shred just does basic damage, deals 5% increased damage against bleed targets. So as long as you've used Rake once or Swipe, as long as there's a bleed on the target, then you're getting the full effect from Shred. So yeah, and then I haven't really found much of a use for Tiger's Fury. I've tried to use it. You can... for some reason, I was thinking it increased your haste. You can take a talent for that. I haven't just yet. I found other things. I'm at 70, so then I'll stop getting talent points now. At 71, I'll unlock hero talents. So I've kind of looked over things a few times. I think this is set up as well as it can be set up for the most part. But you can't take that. I also took Berserk, so I'm not sure how these are working in because I have not used Berserk at all. But I kind of want Moment of Clarity. Frantic Momentum is good, so if haste continues to be an issue, I may have to go back and may look at this and try to swap some things around to take this. When I have used Tiger's Fury, I've used Tiger's Fury and Berserk. I try to use them together because that's kind of a similar setup to what I have on my Guardian Druid. And it seems to work fine just as it is. I just don't have much of a reason to use it, ironically. Like I said, while energy is an issue, it restores 50 energy and increases damage of all your attacks. That's mostly why I've been using it, by 15% for their full duration. So, yeah. And then, like I said, Berserk I haven't been using at all yet. So, generate one combo point, generating abilities, generate an additional combo point, finishing moves, restore up to 3. So I think as things become more difficult, I've been at this weird level. Like I said, it's been a while since I did anything on this character, so my gear was a bit all over the place. So either things were too difficult for me to do, or I was able to get through them just kind of focusing, running through my rotation. And that was kind of my main focus in the beginning, was just kind of running through the abilities and seeing how everything worked. So I intend to keep leveling a little further. There are a couple things that I kind of wanted to do. I don't have just a straight kind of DPS character. Outside of maybe my rogue, I've either been playing tanks or my healers for the most part. So I was kind of thinking it would be nice just to have a DPS class to run around and do some things. So that being said, as far as the stats go, what I've been doing is focusing on mastery, which increases your bleed and other periodic abilities and your finishing moves. So that seemed worthwhile. And haste, and then just kind of letting critical strike fall where it may. Versatility's been good. This expansion, it seems like most classes that I've had versatility on, it's been pretty good. I've replaced like critical strike with versatility on some characters, and that seems perfectly fine. So I'm not trying to prioritize versatility, but if I can get some, that's perfectly fine. And I've been getting stuff that has speed on it, so I've always been replacing one thing with something else that has speed, so I'm not complaining about that. So yeah. So overall, so far, not too terrible. This seems to all be working. The rotation seems to be working, so I'm just going with that. The talents all seem to be working for the most part. I may have to tweak some things here and there. I kind of want to see what the hero talents are, because the hero talents kind of make or break. I was pretty happy with Guardian, and then the hero talents that I picked kind of made it a little bit better. So there you go. There's my little bit of an overview for Feral. And then if you want to see how I set up the talents and kind of theorycraft everything, that will be part 2. So, I want to set up Feral Druid. I don't know if this is going to be like just look at Feral Druid, or if I'm going to set everything up and then play around with it and then kind of do a kind of a review after that. But regardless, I'm excited about the idea of setting up Feral Druid. So I want a stealth character on the Horde side, which is why I'm doing this. And I don't really want to level another rogue. And my rogue is an alliance character. So I figured this would be the next best thing. I already have leveled 1 druid, but I'm mainly keeping them as a guardian druid. I don't really plan on changing their spec. So I feel like between that and the fact that druids have 4 specs you can choose from, I think an exception can be made, and I can set up another druid. So that is what I'm going to do. So I have 2 goals to doing this. I want to set it up as close to a rogue as possible, but I also want to see how much compares to Guardian, because I would say Guardian, of the tanks I've leveled Druid, Demon Hunter, and Monk. Those are the main 3 I've been playing during the War Within, specifically since like the Undermine patch came out. Played around a little bit with Warrior, and I haven't done anything with Death Knight. So I would say Guardian is probably the best tank currently that I have. Druid and Monk. I think that's kind of always been the way it is, I would say. Demon Hunter's good. But there are some specific drawbacks to the way it works. it works a little bit different than other tanks do. So, all that being said, this is where my talents are at. I don't know why things are set up. So I went through and kind of cleared off my bars and things like that because it just had random abilities in random places, I think, over time as patches and expansions changed. The abilities get dropped onto your bar. So went through and cleared everything off. So I now have a clean slate. So before I know how to fully rearrange everything, I need to set everything up. So I'm bearing in mind that I don't have Vanish. So when I'm not in stealth, I'm going to have to do damage. So I was thinking about how I might do that. And then I was also thinking, well, I can't set it up exactly like I have my Guardian Druid. But then I was thinking, well, why not? Because I have AoE abilities, and that would be about the best way, I think, in PvP. That is my focus, is PvP. To do damage. So, okay, so this is kind of like Crimson Tempest then. Yeah, I'll go ahead and grab that. And so I have an idea for how to set this up. If I can get everything set up correctly. I did play with Feral once during Dragonflight, but unfortunately didn't really do much of anything. Let's see here. Didn't do much of anything with her. I think I leveled. It was on a different druid completely. I think I leveled leather working. I think I leveled leather working, and then that was pretty much it. So, yeah. So Tiger's Fury restores energy, increases damage of all your attacks. Never really found this all that useful. Ohm of Clarity. Your auto attacks have a chance to cause clear casting state, making your next thrash. Shred thrash wipe. Cost no energy. Okay. So I think this is the one. On Guardian, I think this is the one that allows you to use regrowth in bear form. I think, if I'm not mistaken, pretty sure. If you generate a combo point in excess to what you can store, your next rush of fighter power to 10% increase. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll take that. Alright, so I think Primal Wrath is kind of like Crimson Tempest. Does AoE damage, so I'll grab that. I'm not going to focus... I think to set this up the way I want is to not focus as much on the finishing moves as you would with Rogue. When I pick everything, I'm going to set up my bars, and then I think you'll have a better idea of what I mean by that. So, I'm not going to worry about Predator, because I don't know how much I'm going to use Tiger's Fury. Shred deals 5% increased damage, and Swipe does 15 against bleed targets. Doesn't it itself have a bleed? Because I'm pretty sure it does as Guardian. And an additional bleed damage over 15 seconds. Yeah, okay. So it just stacks, I guess? Increased damage against bleed target. Oh, shred. Shred, never mind. Okay, never mind. I know what I'm doing now. But I don't think shred. Okay. Never mind. Ignore me. Okay, so this, you can set this up very similar to Guardian then. Okay, I know what I'm doing now. So Ferocious Bite deals increased damage, and the combo points spent. Ferocious Bite primary target 6% increases damage from your cat form, bleed, periodic abilities. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to skip Survival Instincts because I don't typically use it, and I should have Bark Skin, yeah. So, rake damage increased by 30% and causes infection wound on the target, reducing their movement speed. Yes, we'll take that. Ferocious Bite also deals damage per combo point spent to all nearby enemies affected by your rip. Spend extra energy on Ferocious Bite, increase damage, build up to 100%. Sure, because I think I need to put a little bit of focus on AoE damage. So, rip damage increase 20%. Yes, that's fine. Ferocious Bite damage deals 12% increased damage and additional 12% during target shot. Don't know if I'm using that. Swipe and Thrash damage increase 40%. Strike all. So, strike all nearby enemies. Inflicting damage. Deals 15% increased damage against bleed targets. Deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. Swipe and Thrash deal increase 40%. You know, I don't really think I need Brutal Slash necessarily. I think Wild Slashes is perfectly fine because I kind of like the idea that Swipe is just Swipe. It just deals basic damage and it does increase damage against bleed target. Yeah, so I think that'll be perfectly fine. Because if there is some overlap with Guardian, I use that as kind of a filler ability. So finishing moves have 6% chance per combo point spent to make your next rake or shred deal damage as though you were stealthed. Okay. So with Feral, you don't have stealth abilities per se. Instead, you have abilities that have additional effects while you are stealth. So Rake will stun and deal 60% increased damage. Shred will deal 60% increased damage, has double the chance to critical strike, and generates 1 additional combo point. So, to make your next rake or shred, yeah, I think that's good. Moonfire is usable in cat form, costs 30 energy, and generates 1 combo point. Sure. Also need to, when I get to the Druid Talents, maybe take something to set up Guardian a bit if I do PvP and I end up with like end up on a map with a flag. So I think I'm definitely going to want to go with Guardian. As Guardian, I set up a little bit of balance because I thought maybe I would use it as a character to maybe farm some different things. So I thought, well, those abilities would be good, but I didn't actually ended up doing more with Guardian than I thought I would. So it's kind of back to being my main tank at the moment. So your finishing moves have a 20% chance per combo point to make your next regrowth or entangling roots instant, free, and castable in all forms. Okay, that's what I want. That's what I was looking for. Tiger Fury lasts 5 additional seconds. Tiger Fury's down. Causes your next 3 finishing moves to restore 1 combo point. Trigger's Fury also increases the periodic damage of your bleed by an additional 10%. Okay, well, we appear to have gotten stuck. Okay, so... go Berserk for 50 seconds while Berserk. Generate 1 additional combo point. Combo point generating abilities. Generate 1 additional combo point. Finishing moves restore up to 3 combo points. Okay. So that could potentially be good. So if I have to take Survival Instincts, fine. Reduce cooldown by 60 seconds. What is it? It's 3 minutes. During Berserk, your combo point generating abilities bleed the target for an additional 150 direct damage over 8 seconds. Yes, that's fine. If clear casting now triggers 30% more often, can accumulate up to 2 stacks, increases the duration of your next shred. So shred, thrash, swipe. Okay. Don't know how much energy is going to be an issue. I'm pretty sure... Yeah, so haste, like with Rogue, still generates, helps with energy regeneration. So, not going to worry about taking that necessarily, because I don't think I need the reduced cooldown unless there's just really nothing else to take that would be useful. Maximum energy, increase energy regeneration. Combo point generatability. Okay, so Trigger's Fury lasts 5 additional seconds. Okay, that may or may not be useful depending on how much I use it. Your combo point generating abilities, direct damage is increased by 40% pace. I would like tireless energy, so I think I probably have to take Predator to take that, because on Rogue, there was always an ability that increased your energy and increased regeneration. And they've worked out really well. So now I have 2 combo points left, which is just fantastic. So Rip, Rake, and Thrash deal 25. So basically your effects do apply Rip to all targets. That the target also applies a tear that deals 50% of Rip's damage over 8 seconds. I'm also not max level either. I'm like 58. So I'll be able to fill some more of these in as I go. Because I think Feral Frenzy maybe I'm going to want. Not 100% sure. So finishing moves have a 3% chance per combo point spent to generate 10 haste for 6 seconds. 6% chance. Okay. So see, there's a good example. So it doesn't change the amount of haste, but it changes the percentage of your chance. So Rip, deal 50% increased damage. When you use 3 different combo point generating abilities within 4 seconds, the damage of your next 3... Okay. That seems a bit monkish. Applying Rip to a target also applies a tear that deals... Sure. That's probably okay. Rip also... Because that is... Oh, there we go. Okay, so Rip is your damage over time ability. Yeah, because I'm going to be reapplying. So... Vein Ripper kind of seems... If you're not going to... If you're going to be reapplying them before the duration's up, then that's just kind of a waste, so... That's fine. Rip damage has a 6% chance to make your next ferocious bite free and deal maximum damage. Okay. extra energy on ferocious bites, extra damage. Increased by 60%, 120%. Actually, I like that better. Yeah, okay. So, I think that's what I wanted to do. I think, yeah. Okay, so you start out with Rake. You can't unchange that. Rip, Rake, Thrash, damage, increase 10%. Sure. I want Main because that is the stun for Feral. And then, let's see here. So, you can take Frenzied Regeneration, which I don't think is going to have as much of an effect on I'm a High Mountain Tauren. On my Druid I'm playing as a Guardian, it's called Tyran, which has a passive that heals from damage that is done to you. So Frenzied Regeneration actually is a bit more useful. So I don't think it's going to be as useful on this character. Let me just double check the passives here. So Bull Rush is a stun. Mountaineer, your versatility is increased by 1%. Increases mining skill. Deafness. Deafness allows you to mine more quickly. Reduces damage taken by 32. You have a chance to loot additional meat and fish. Yeah, so I don't see anything that does with healing. So Frenzied Regeneration and Bark Scan. Now, Bark Scan I probably will be using quite a bit. Physical damage, armor increase. Okay, Bark Scan duration is increased for a second. Yes, that's good because I think I'm gonna probably be using maybe Tiger's Fury and Bark Skin together in a combo. I'm thinking maybe. So let's perform. Like I said, if I can set this up the way I'm thinking. So Rake and Rip are abilities you get by default. Okay. Physical damage and armor increased. Okay, that's good. There was a stamina increase, stamina and bear form increased. Trying to look to see what would be useful here. Because they've moved things around. At least they did in the one patch. So I guess I'll take Starfire and Star Surge, I guess. That makes about as much sense as anything else. It's not terrible to have a couple ranged abilities. While in cat form, when you critically strike with an attack that generates a combo point, you gain an additional combo point. Damage over time cannot trigger this effect. Mangle, critical strike damage increased 20%. While in cat form, when you critically strike with an attack that generates a combo point. Okay, so basically Shred, Rake, Swipe, and Thrash. Okay. You gain an additional combo point. Damage over time effects cannot trigger this. Mangle, which I don't have as a Mangle. Oh, I do have Mangle, but it is a bear form ability. Yeah, I was gonna say. So I think we'll just skip that. Reduces all damage by 4%. That could be good. Skull Bash, yes. When I have an interrupt, I don't use healing received by 4%. Do I want to take Soothe for PvP? Would that be a benefit at all? It really only works on warriors. Because warriors actually have an enrage effect. I'm trying to think if it works on any other class, and I don't think off the top of my head it does. So, when you use Bark Scan or Survival Instinct, you absorb damage. Yes, want that. But I need to fill this in, so I may have to take some things I don't want. Healing received increased. That's fine. I want renewal, because that does come in handy for Guardians. So we're just kind of... I know it's weird to kind of use a tank spec to set up a DPS spec. Bear in mind, Guardian and Feral were kind of one spec at one time. And that was how Druids ended up with 4, was they separated Guardian and Feral. So they did work hand in hand. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility to... You know what? I might take Cyclone. Cyclone might be good. I'll take Stampeding Roar because I used that. Was it Stamp? Yeah, it was Cyclone. Yeah, I was trying to think. Which one was the one that was annoying? And Conjure a Vortex. Reducing movement speed of enemies within 8 yards the first time the enemy attempts to leave the vortex. You know, both of those might be good, because I do use Ring of Peace quite a bit on my monk when I had it. So, Cyclone would be more single target. Vortex would be more kind of an AoE, so I can live with that. I want Tiger Dash. Yeah, I don't mess around with Wild Charge. I've tried using it several different ways. Tiger Dash is fine. I have that on my Guardian. Increases movement speed. That's what I wanted for Line Swiftness. Because again, you're not... you don't really have like a stealth setup with Feral. So you don't have that speed boost that you have with Rogue. So any chance to move quicker just in general would be good. When you fall below 40% health, you cast Frenzied Regeneration up to once per... Okay, yes, that's what I want. I thought that was further down. So that's about the only time I'll use Frenzied Regeneration, is when the passive, the Quality of Life talent triggers it. So then I need to take one more ability. And what do I take? That is the question. So Rejuvenation makes no sense. Frenzied Regeneration kind of makes sense, kind of doesn't. Yeah. And as you can see, like, the abilities are kind of mismatched as far as they're not just strictly Feral, and they're not just strictly Guardian either. So I'm looking here trying to figure out... I don't use Iron Fur even as Guardian. The only thing I'm seeing in front of you... You know, Typhoon might be good as a knockback. I could see that having a benefit. I'll go ahead and take that. Don't need Innervate. Glad it's back, but I don't need it. Typhoon increases Typhoon's radius by 20% and its range by 5. Reduces the cooldown. So again, bear in mind, once stealth is broken, that is it. So what would be better? Radius increased by 20% and range by 5 yards, or reduced cooldown by 5 seconds. I think Gale Winds would be better. Survival Instinct, Spark Skin reduce the damage taken by an additional 10%. That's fine. Wellhorn Instincts can trigger up to once every 90 seconds. That's fine. What is the cooldown? 3 minutes. So every minute and a half? Yeah, okay. Ferocious Bite Maul is a Guardian ability. Damage increased 8%. Cap Form increased critical strike. Moonfire, Sunfire damage increased 10%. Shred Rake, Skull Bash can be used in any form. Shift into Cap Form if necessary. Mangle can be used in any form and shifts into Bear Form. Okay, so there's not really any help there, and these are just kind of CC abilities, so. After 4 seconds shifting into Bear Form, your health and armor are increased by 15%. Now that could be helpful in PvP, possibly. Not gonna mess around with Heart of the Wild. Don't particularly care for it. I've tried using it. Same with Nature's Vigil. So yeah, increased critical strike could be good. I'll take that. And well, actually, since I'm going to be leveling, we'll just put both into that. So yeah, I feel good about that. The feral talents may need some adjustment, but I think they're mostly there. Okay, so this is going to be my cooldown, so that'll go there. Moonfire, I have, I think it's, there on my Guardian. Knockback, we'll put there. And then I will put Moonfire. There we go. Okay, and then I went to the barber shop and did the, went with the kind of purplish cat form, since we are in the Void expansion, if you will. So I think I'll put this there. I can't remember what the Guardian, there's a Guardian ability that I use that is, it's actually like right where Feral Frenzy is. That's why I wasn't sure. I think that's an ability. That's not a utility. So yeah, I think I'm going to end up using Tiger Fury in its place. So it does damage. It gives me leech. All that. I think it redirects some of the damage back to the target. Regrowth is here. So I'm going to move that there. Move this here. So I'm setting this up roughly how I have things set up for my Druid. Like I said, I'm not going to focus too much on the finishing moves. Because I don't think... That was the way I always did it before, was I kind of set everything up around... I always set everything up around combo points. Get your combo points and your finishing moves and all that. And I don't think that works all that well for Feral. I've had mixed results, so. Okay, and then we'll put survival instincts there. It says I have it on something else, but I don't. I was gonna say I don't think I do. We'll put oh yeah, I have entangling roots, don't I? Cyclone would be better. Yeah. I will. On one at a time. Yeah, I think that would be better. So we'll just put that there for the time being so I don't forget it. Okay, so let's just move some things around here. I'm not using iron fur. I don't think I took frenzied regeneration either, so there we go. We can move this here. Bark skin. I did do some when the collector's bounty event was going on. I did do some farming on this character, and even at level 50, I set Guardian up how I have it set up on my level 80 character, and it still did fine. So I was quite impressed. I thought I had Maul. Are you not given Maul as a mingle? Right. No, apparently not. Okay, I thought you, yeah, okay, apparently not. Apparently it is just a Guardian ability. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, I think that's... I'll throw regrowth on there because I don't know if that will still trigger in bear form with everything set up as Guardian, but I shall see. So yeah, okay. So I think that's pretty much. Oh, wait. Rip. I need to put Rip somewhere, or Primal Wrath. Excuse me. Now. Okay, so Frenzied Regeneration would go here. But I'm not using that on this character, obviously, because it's a bear form ability. So there's direct damage, there's over time damage, and there's AoE damage. So I'm thinking the AoE probably wants to go there. And then I think I have everything on. Okay, so now let's go to a target dummy, which should be just over here, yes, and see how all this works. Okay, they added a Drakthir warrior. That's nice. Okay, so in stealth, stun, do damage. Okay, so AoE damage. Okay, so not bad. Regrowth is triggering. Very nice. Okay. You know, one thing it didn't give me a choice of is if I wanted to get more combo points, which is kind of interesting, I think. Okay. So far, I would say pretty good, pretty good. Why isn't, there we go, as I say, why isn't working there? Okay, and then I have stun there. Oh, and it, oh, I was gonna say, I thought it put me behind the target, but no, it runs them through, I believe it. Charge forward, knocking enemies down for 1.5 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown. So, okay, not terrible. So, may need to do some adjusting, but for the most part, I think everything seems to be working. Again, not sure how much I'm going to use Tiger's Fury, because it instantly restores 50 energy, and my energy was not going down that much. So, increases damage of all your attacks by 15% for their full duration for 15 seconds. Yeah. And then go berserk for 15 seconds. More berserk. Generate 1 additional combo point. Combo point generating abilities. Generate 1 additional combo point. Finishing moves store up to 3 points generated over the cap. Oh, nice. Okay. Didn't catch that the first time. All attacks and abilities damage is increased by 15%. Okay, so yeah. Play around with this. Like I said, kind of excited to see how everything works. I'm not sure everything on the feral side is going to stay like it is. I really wish you didn't have to take Tiger's Fury because it's never been an ability I've used a lot. So notice that with the trees, like they kind of emphasize certain abilities they want you to use that they've kind of you would think kind of built around or trying to emphasize, but sometimes you need them, sometimes you don't. Just depends on the spec and or class. So